I hate my daughter. Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Monkey. If you're into crazy Reddit stories and wild drama, you're in the right place. Don't forget to click that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss out on the next ride. And let me know in the comments, what's the most insane story you've heard on Reddit? I want to hear your thoughts. I know I'm about to sound like the worst person alive, and maybe I am. I don't even care anymore. I've got no one to talk to about it. Not my friends, not my family. Hell, I barely even talk to myself about it because every time I think about it, I hate myself a little more. I never wanted kids. Ever. I was clear about that from the start. But 5 years ago, I was 22, fresh out of college, hooking up with this guy I'd been seeing on and off for years. We weren't serious, just doing the whole friends with benefits thing. It was easy, casual, no strings. I thought I had everything under control, you know? We used protection, we weren't stupid, but shit happens, right? One day I missed my period, took a test, and just like that, my entire life flipped upside down. I remember telling him I was pregnant, thinking he'd freak out as much as I did. But no, he had the opposite reaction. He actually smiled, like this was good news or something. I asked him what the hell we were going to do. Abortion, adoption, something. I didn't want this. I didn't want a kid. He said we could work it out, that we could be a family. A family. I told him I wasn't ready, that I never wanted to be a mom. That's when he brought his family into it. They showed up at my job, at my house. Calls, texts, constant pressure. This is your chance to start a family, they said. You'll regret it if you don't. I had just lost my mom around that time, so I was already a mess, and then add the guilt trips, the pressure. I was drowning. I wasn't strong enough to fight back. So, I caved. I agreed to keep the baby, but I refused to get married. That was my one line in the sand. I wasn't going to let this turn into some perfect family bullshit that I knew was never going to happen. And now, here we are. 5 years later, I've got a daughter I didn't want, a life I never planned for, and I'm completely fucking miserable. I guess I'm supposed to love her. That's what people say, right? She's your daughter. You'll love her no matter what. Well, I don't. I don't feel a goddamn thing. She's not a bad kid either, which makes me feel even worse. She's quiet, doesn't throw tantrums. She doesn't demand much, but that just makes it harder. It's like she's making it impossible for me to hate her, but I do. I hate her for existing, for ruining my life. And that makes me feel like the worst mother on the planet. I only get her on the weekends. She lives with her dad during the week. You'd think that would make it easier, having so much time to myself. But it doesn't. Every time I have to pick her up, my stomach twists into knots. I dread it. I dread seeing her little face light up when she sees me because I know she's happy and I'm not. She deserves a mom who loves her, who wants to spend time with her. And that's not me. A few weeks ago, she was drawing while I made lunch. I wasn't really paying attention, just trying to get through the day. She came up to me, all excited, holding this piece of paper. It was a picture of me and her dad, holding hands, smiling like some happy family. I lost it. I screamed at her, told her to stop drawing that shit because it was never going to happen. She just stood there, wide-eyed, her little lip trembling. Then she started crying. I felt sick. I apologized later, told her I didn't mean it, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. She didn't draw for a week after that. How the fuck am I supposed to be a mother when I can't even look at my own kid without wanting to scream? There's this tension between me and her dad now. It's always there, lurking under the surface. Every time I drop her off or pick her up, I can feel it. He tries to act like everything's fine, but I know he resents me. And honestly, I can't blame him. He wanted this life. He wanted a family, and I didn't. We're stuck playing this game, pretending everything's okay for her sake, but we both know it's not. The worst part is, I know I'm dragging her into this mess. She's not stupid. She can sense that something's off, that her parents don't get along. She started asking questions like why we don't live together, why we don't have family, dinners like her friends' parents. I don't have the heart to tell her the truth, so I just make up excuses. Mommy and Daddy are just busy, or we have different houses, but we still love you. Lies. All of it. But what am I supposed to say? That I hate this life? That I never wanted her? That every day I wish I'd made a different choice? I can't do that to her. She's innocent in all this, but she's the one paying the price. One time I thought about just walking away, giving up my parental rights, letting her dad take over completely. She's better off with him anyway. He loves her. He actually wants her. But then I think about how fucked up that would be. How I'd look like even more of a monster for abandoning her. So, I stay. I keep pretending. And the guilt just piles up. It's getting harder to pretend, though. Every day feels like a fucking marathon. I wake up, go through the motions, try to be the mom she deserves, but it's like I'm wearing a mask that's slipping more and more. I don't know how long I can keep this up before everything falls apart. Last weekend, we were at the park. She was playing on the swings, laughing, being her usual happy self. I sat on a bench, watching, trying to feel something, trying to be present. But all I felt was this overwhelming sense of dread, like I was suffocating in this life that wasn't mine. She ran up to me, all smiles, and said, "Mommy, push me." I stood there staring at her, feeling nothing. I didn't move. She tugged at my hand, and I just snapped. I yanked my hand away and told her to stop it, to leave me alone. She looked up at me, confused, like she didn't understand why her own mother didn't want to play with her. And in that moment, I realized something. I'm not cut out for this. I never was. I don't have it in me to be a good mom. I'm just fucking this kid up more and more every day, and she deserves better. I left the park early that day, took her back to her dad's, handed her off without saying much. He looked at me like he knew something was wrong, but he didn't ask. And I didn't tell him. What's the point? We're both stuck in this mess and there's no way out. So here I am, writing this down, because I don't know what else to do. I know I'm a bad mother. I know I'm fucking up this kid's life. And I hate myself for it. But I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to be better. Every day, I think about just giving up, walking away, letting her dad take over completely. Maybe that's what she needs. Maybe that's what I need. But I can't bring myself to do it. I can't just walk away and pretend like I don't exist. I'm stuck in this hell I created and there's no escape. Maybe one day I'll figure it out. Maybe one day I'll feel summerly. Update. So, something happened. I'm not sure if it's good or bad yet, but it's something. Last weekend I dropped her off at her dad's like usual, but this time he didn't just let me leave. He stopped me at the door and said we needed to talk. I could see it in his eyes. He knew. He fucking knew something was off, and he wasn't going to let it slide anymore. We sat down in the kitchen, and he just came out with it. He asked me if I was okay, if I was struggling. I wanted to lie, tell him everything was fine, but I couldn't. I broke down right there in front of him, telling him everything. How I never wanted this. How I feel nothing for her. How I'm barely holding it together. He didn't say anything for a while, just sat there listening. Then he said something I didn't expect. He said he'd noticed, that he could see I was struggling, and that maybe we needed to figure out a better arrangement. He suggested that maybe I should take a step back, let him take on more of the parenting while I figure out my own shit. I should have been relieved. I should have been grateful. But instead, I just felt worse, like I was failing even more. But maybe he's right. Maybe it's time I step away, for her sake. So, after that conversation, I've been thinking a lot. I've decided to take a step back. Her dad is going to take her full-time for a while, and I'll only see her when I feel up to it. I don't know if this is the right decision. It feels like I'm abandoning her, but at the same time, I know I'm not what she needs right now. I've been trying to convince myself that this is the best thing for her, that she'll be better off with a parent who actually wants her. But the guilt is still there. It's always there, eating away at me. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll get better. Maybe I won't. All I know is that right now I can't be the mother she needs. And that's the hardest thing I've ever had to admit. It's been a few months since I stepped back, and honestly, I think it was the right decision. She's happier now, more stable, and I think her dad's doing a great job. I still see her, but it's not as often, and that's been easier. I'm starting to feel a little less suffocated, a little less trapped. But the guilt is still there. It probably always will be. I don't know if I'll ever be the kind of mom she deserves, but at least now she's getting what she needs from her dad. Maybe this is the best I can do for her.